So serious talk today, guys. This is a sit-down kind of one-on-one, elephant in the room.
Two-on-one.
Two-on-one. Everybody asks this question, and we're going to try and see if we can address it. The question being, what do you charge for your first camera or videography gig?
How do you even answer a question like that? There are so many answers to it depending on what your experience is, what you can offer. Do you have a second shooter? What is the gig? Is it taking a picture for your friend or is it a wedding?
What you're worth. So we're going to talk to you today about some ideas and ultimately how you can judge what you think is a fair price for doing your next gig.
Okay, so hit it.
Done. And
what's up, everybody? My name is Janica.
And I'm Steven, and this is
Too Lazy for Google.
And on today's episode, as we mentioned in the credits, we're going to talk to you about what is the right amount you should charge for your first videography or photo gig.
Spoiler alert, there's no right answer.
No, there's not.
No, okay. So we're going to make this quick, but first, this is a channel for everyone who likes photography, videography, droning, and tech. So if that's you, if this is your first time here, please like and subscribe below if you like what you've seen.
We love hearing from you guys, and we love your suggestions, comments, and also things you've learned on your travels as videographers. So
yeah,
just comment below, and we can definitely start the conversation.
If there's something that we don't cover here, please let us know what you price yourself at and for what reasons as well. Because the more information we have out there, the better it is. And we'll get to that point later, because if someone undercuts themselves so much, not only does it hurt them, but there's a trickle-down effect where it hurts every other photographer and videographer, because all of a sudden they'll have to lower their prices because the consumer will expect a lower and lower fee.
Exactly. I mean, there's so much competition now on the market today, and anyone can find a videographer or photographer because everybody seems to be delving into these skills of being able to utilize media production. And I think that's the big question is, how do you say to a client when they first meet you and say, hey, Janica, I'm interested in hiring you for your services? And then you say back, well, sure, this is my rate. There's a certain level of confidence that needs to be had before you have that conversation.
Yeah, but you also need to know what you're worth, right? So the thing is, and this might be too real of a talk, if you don't have any experience or you haven't done anything like that before, you probably shouldn't be charging too much at all.
Exactly.
For my first wedding, I did it for free.
Yeah.
Right? I just said like, hey, can I come and shoot some video? And then I made this video that everyone loved.
Exactly.
And then it took off from there. But, you know, I can't just go in and say like, oh, you know what, people pay so much money for weddings. You know, I'm going to charge this. Who am I?
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of like the internship of being in the office, because you ultimately, if you do as your very first gig decide not to take a fee, you do still get to keep the footage. If the agreement with the client is in place and you can say, hey, look, I'm building a portfolio, I'm building a demo reel, a sizzle reel, or a slice reel, or whatever kind of reel it is, you get to keep that footage to be able to use that in the future to promote your services.
But that being said, in my contracts, it always allows me to use the video for marketing purposes.
Yes.
And this is another point. Even if you're doing it for free, you better be professional. You better show up on time, ready to go.
That's a big one.
Batteries charged, have a contract in place. You know, if you don't take yourself seriously, they're not going to take you seriously.
Absolutely. Another big one too in contracts is also stating when payment is due, and also how payment is going to be processed, how the interaction is going to be.
Are you going to take a deposit?
A deposit. That's a very big one, because sometimes in certain gigs that I've done, sometimes the deposits have led towards the purchase of the particular gear that I'm going to shoot for that particular event. So it could be sound, it could be a different lens, it could be paying for a different shooter, it could be all kinds of things, and that deposit can help get that ball going. What exactly is a good amount to charge? I mean, this is a difficult process of talking here, because like in Canada, you know, there is you can look up online, you can look up anyone's website, and you kind of see a ballpark figure. It can range between $40 an hour, it could go to $70 or $100 an hour, depending upon level of expertise, level of gear, as well as availability, and also the package services that they offer.
And not only that, you know, whatever you charge, the customer needs to feel afterwards like they got what they paid for. If you charge too much and you don't deliver a good product, they're probably not going to call you back.
No, they're probably not. How's the saying go again? You're only as good as the last reputation or the last review or something like that. Reviews are good. So you want to have positive feedback for what you've done. Because like ultimately now today you see every forum, from Google to Reddit to YouTube to Facebook to Instagram, anybody can critique and write on your particular work and give their comments and feedback.
Yeah, but if I had any advice, it's to go above and beyond. You know, every gig that I tried to do in this first year of starting this photography videography gig is to blow people away with the finished product. And if that meant extra hours, it meant extra hours because I'm putting in that work. So I would have something not only great for the customer, but that's going to be in your portfolio too. Don't forget that you're going to be showing off this product to everyone else you want to get a gig from. So if you put in that extra work, that extra time that may be not charged, and you deliver a stunning product, then you have that product to show other people, and then all of a sudden you can charge them for what that project was worth.
And one good thing you can also do is deliver something above what you originally quoted for. I'm not saying make like a whole additional video, but in the case of like Instagram or social media, I love to give the client a 16:9 version of the video as well as a 4:5 or 5:5 version of the video.
This guy.
I know. Yes, it's a bit of extra work.
He's really good at Instagram, so that's why he's doing this. I'm not, so don't listen to my cynicism.
I understand it's just easy and simple to post 16:9 to Instagram, but face it, folks, I mean, is it better to look at a video this much or a video that much? Yes, it's vertical and you do lose certain parts of the wide frame, but it's a nice thing to offer your client in a Dropbox or in a Google Drive and say, hey, look, here's your file at 16:9. You can use that for YouTube. You can use that for Facebook. But there's also this little like Easter egg on top of it by saying you can use this video as your Instagram story, as your Instagram main feed. It's just nice to kind of offer that little tidbit that's, you know, above and beyond.
The first gig that Steven and I did, Steven has a website company and I had a photography company, and he had a company called KVP Paving, who needed high resolution photos for their website. And what I did was I quoted them a certain amount of pictures, but I had all these other pictures that not only did I love, that I wanted to color grade to use for my own portfolio. So if they're already color graded, if they're already finished and edited properly, I just gave it to them. You know, extras that they could put on Instagram, they could share around, they could put on their website, and not only are they satisfied and like overjoyed that they get more than what they paid for, all of a sudden I'm getting better advertising because they are all of a sudden sharing more pictures.
Exactly. I mean, the big thing too is to be flexible, because in this kind of realm of custom work, you have to be able to ebb and flow. The requests from the beginning of the project might be different than the requests towards the end of the project or requests, because just because your contract states one thing, yes, obviously adhere and follow those principles, but be able to adapt and kind of like add on to the idea. If it's extra services, add on services by all means. But if there's any kind of wiggle room, that difference might make the ability for having a working relationship down the road. It might give you additional referrals. It's all the ability of being able to say, look, I would be happy to create whatever custom content you want if the need is changing, because maybe their business is growing or it's a certain kind of look that's changed, or their marketing department wants a different kind of look to something.
Okay, so we need to actually tell you some real stuff. So people like top 3 lists.
Rambling.
Yeah, people like top 3 lists, so we're going to give you a top 3 list. Okay, number 1, go above and beyond. If you promised to deliver something by a certain time, maybe drop it off the day before.
Exactly. And also with this idea, dropping an Easter egg. Like I said with the Instagram posts, I mean, deliver 16:9, but also give a 4.5 or 5:5 ratio.
Yeah, give them extra pictures so they could put it on their Instagram feed.
Yeah, and then that kind of stuff.
It's free advertising for you. Number 2, know what you're worth.
Know what you're worth.
So a lot of people say this to prop themselves up, but it should also be used to humble yourself as well. How much experience do you really have doing this? If you have tons of experience, then charge that because it'll reflect your work. But if you don't have experience, it's okay to say like, hey, maybe I'll do this for a lower price, a discount, or for free for some of your friends. I'm sure they'll really appreciate it, but then it gives you something extra for your portfolio.
And a bonus tip, ask your friends or people who you know who are colleagues who might be working in the same industry that you'd like to work in too in terms of videography or photography. Ask what they're charging if they're happy to tell you. And so they can give you some tips and advice of what they've learned as well in terms of the market rate that entry-level beginning shooters would charge.
Yeah, one important thing though is know your minimum price.
That is a minimum price, yes.
What is the minimum price where all of a sudden it's not worth doing anymore because it takes too much time, or you've all of a sudden occupied yourself with this gig that you should keep, and then say you're canceling or missing out on other gigs
because you're stuck working on that gig.
That would pay you more.
Last but not least, number 3, does the shot need specific gear? Because in terms of whatever shoot you're doing, it might require additional sound. It might require additional cameras.
Might need a second shooter.
That's a big one.
Yep.
So these are all things to take into consideration when you're formulating your contract, your quote, even the conversation of saying, hi, let's talk about potentially doing a job together. This is all something that needs to be figured out before you begin the shoot, because you don't want to create the shoot at a loss.
Okay guys, so those were our tips and our advice.
3 of them.
Yeah, so for what you should charge for your first gig. To be honest, there's no actual answer, but it depends on all the factors that we talked about. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what to consider when you first deliver your contract.
Exactly, and above all, be confident in your work, because if you're not confident in your work, the client won't be confident in hiring you.
Be professional, but be easy to work with, right?
Yeah.
The important thing is believe in yourself, because if you don't, who will believe in you?
This is like a Saturday afternoon special.
You know who told me that?
Who?
Kevin Tiswanit.
Hey, shout out to Opera Nova if you're watching. That's right. You know, that's a throwback to the opera days in Edmonton. I love that.
That's where we met.
You know, we're both opera singers, and we'll talk about that at some point down the road too. Anyways, thanks for joining us, and we wish you all the best in finding your potential gigs coming up this year in 2020.
Yes.
It's an era of media, and there's lots of opportunity.
Yes, so go get it.
That's right. And until next time, just keep shooting.
Catch you later.
Ciao.